So Ella, man, the world seeing you standing outside, and the one line specifically that I think most people grab on is the women standing too close to the hole, right?
Yeah,
So
that
we
seems
can't
to be
tell the
the line
uh
that
huh.
everybody
That's the one.
remembers. Yeah.
So what was that scene like? Was you just outside? Did you know them? Was it planned? How did it happen?
Um, I was friends with one of the cats. I was at the time we used to be cool. I don't really speak to him no more, but at the time we was
Okay.
cool. The light skinned cat that was behind me. We were just leaving the club though. We were just leaving a little lounge. You know what I'm saying? I was like tired because he's younger than me. You know, we a little old, I'm a little older, so it's like I
Yeah.
ain't been trying to hang out like I used to. So I was tired. I was ready to go, and we just happened to see somebody on the street doing interviews. And he know how I am, how I talk. So he like, yo, you should do that. I'm like, you know, I don't like attention. You know what I'm saying? I get
Mhm.
attention, but I'm not an attention crave type of person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like to keep it pushing. So he like, talk to him, talk to him. I'm like, all right. You know, I lined up and he asked me, so what's your views on dating? And the rest was just history. So it really wasn't something I thought we even take it to another level. I didn't think nothing about it. I just thought it was just something in the moment. And then a week
Mhm.
later, the guy contacted me and was saying, hey, video's getting traction. And it just went retarded. And that's what
Yeah.
kind of got me into people just starting to invite me to speak on their channel and this and that.
Mhm.
So I just
Mhm.
said, you know, man, I might as well just do it myself and just start putting my own content. I feel like I'm still a baby in this thing, but you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But that's what really got me into it. It wasn't nothing I planned on doing. I always had an opinion. I was always opinionated. People always, you know, sought me out for certain things, perspectives. So
Mhm.
it was natural to me, but
Yeah.
it wasn't something I was pressed to do. But once it happened, it's just like I just
Yeah.
rolled with it.
Yeah. I think that we often see that we have a talent or a knack for things, so it finds us. You
Facts.
know, we have a gift for it. Like even the articulation with that being organic and off the cuff, right? It was
Exactly.
fluid. You're not out there saying some, yeah, I mean, you feel me? Like all the filler words weren't there, right? And
Facts.
so
Facts.
when I first saw it, I thought that you were already doing content,
Mm-mm.
when I peeped it, you know,
I was
the girl,
I was going to
the
work.
the girl that walked up, that was just organic too. But she wasn't with
Yeah, I
them.
didn't
She
know
just
her. I didn't
engaged.
know her at all. She was one of the little homies trying to holler at her. And she
Mm-hmm.
was actually fronting because behind the scenes she was being like she was homie trying to holler at her, and she put out a phone with some money and said, if you ain't got this, you got, like, she was basically showing that you gotta have money to talk to her. So when I seen that at the corner of my eye, I kind of like turned up my conversation because I wanted her to hear me. Like, yeah, like I'm talking about chicks like you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they
Mm-hmm.
push it like, yo, go talk to him. So they just brought her over there, and she was like, oh, what you was saying? And then, you know, I just
But
started telling
then,
her, like,
but when she got up there, she was agreeing with you.
I mean, what else you gonna do? I mean, most people, I hate to be funny, but most females or like they argue me online, but if we in the same vicinity, the way I deliver the messages, I don't really get a whole. I might get a little pushback, but not a whole lot. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
really nothing she could have really said. You know what I mean? The truth is the truth. I'm not saying I'm the truth. You know, we all make mistakes, but I think I'm a pretty good conveyor of a message. So even if you don't agree with me, you at least understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, the comprehension, right, is easy. So
Absolutely.
let's take that example, right? She's showing money, and when she get over there to you, she started aligning with what you saying, wholesome women
Mm-hmm.
and etc. The separation. How much
Mm-hmm.
of that happens with people when we having these conversations online? If you had to give a percentage, what percentage of people are authentic in what they saying?
I don't know. I'm gonna say probably like 30%. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen a lot of people flip flop because their
Mm-hmm.
argument have changed based on, like, I've seen people get on panels and whoever seems to be popular in the moment in the conversation, they'll lean their argument to be with that person
Mm-hmm.
because they feel like they win in the conversation, so they want to be on the winning side. You know, a lot of people still have I feel like that high school mentality where
Yeah.
it's just about what's popular and who looks cool in the moment. You know what I'm saying? So they really don't stand for nothing. It's just another way to get popularity, get clout, and you can make some money off of it. So it's like it takes a special person to stand on things despite its popularity. Everybody can't really do that.
Okay. Do you see it as an issue?
It is, and when people are listening to them, you know what I'm saying? It is when people are taking these people's perspectives and running with it in real life and they're taking these people's perspectives and changing how they look at other content creators. That's going to become a problem. I'm not going to say no names, but there's a lot of goofy ass dudes in this space that I see be calling brothers out and talking, saying brothers need to do this and brothers need to do that. But they turn around, they be calling women this and calling women that, and they're snap, and no one holds them accountable. So to me, it's not even about us on the screen. To me, we're just the avatars of different trains of thought. It's about people and what they co-sign with and what they align with and how they can be in one person's chat agreeing with them 1 minute, and then an hour later they with the other person agreeing with them. It's like they all over the goddamn place. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's the people that's confusing the actual content creators because they're supporting so many different messages that they don't stand for nothing.
That is interesting. So when
they pick and choose, and they pick and choose who can get away with what. So I can say, I can just be, I never called no woman out her name on no show, but I could just say a woman is immature, and I get talked about like I called her out her name. Somebody else could say you a B, you a H, and they'll say, well, he was upset. It's like they make excuses for their favorite people. You know what I'm saying? Like if they like the person, they understand them. If they don't like Illa, or they don't like this one, oh, he hate women. I never said nothing negative about no woman. Never said she was a B. I never called no woman out their name in my life. But I get that label as if I'm a negative person. But they'll let other people get away with it because they like them, or you know, it's just real peanut butter and jelly high school shit. You know, same shit.
Yeah, this is a question that popped in my head. When I look at like different demographics, right? When I look at the analytics and things of that nature, and then just looking around, if you look at different panel conversations, so on and so forth, the majority of people are more from the South. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely.
Do you think that it's a misunderstanding of the culture between the Northeast and the South that
Absolutely.
at times? And I don't think I get taken the wrong way, but they think I'm like a little bit more like aggressive or like direct. You know what I'm saying? Like stern, I guess you would say. That's what I usually stern. Do you think that's an issue? Yeah, go ahead. What you think?
It's definitely. I wouldn't say it's an issue unless you want it to be, but it's definitely a difference, and it's a difference. It's just a different way we look at life in general, and it's displayed in these conversations because I feel like up north, you're exposed to more of a global type of environment. You know, you got all these different type of races, or not every place in the South. You got a place like Miami that's very multicultural. There's certain places, but for the most part, it's black folk and white folk. And most of their social dynamic and understanding and reasoning comes from this particular dynamic between black people and white people. I feel like when you live in New York or New Jersey, you're surrounded by so many different races of people that you take on a more of a global approach to things and not just this local Bible Belt perspective on everything in life and this black and white social political dynamic, which is a real thing, but the world is bigger than that. And I think we're up north, you're kind of more exposed to that. You're exposed to more different trains of thought, more different kind of conversations. Then I see that a lot of people have down south. I could be wrong. There's always cultured people everywhere. It's people up north that's not hip to things. But I just think the culture of up north is more global. I think the South is more a black and white Bible Belt.
That's the dichotomy. Yeah. I just in terms of I'm just thinking like I brought I had, you know, you get a girlfriend in college, she come back home with you, right? So when she come to the barbershop with me and we leave out, she like, how is it black people, Mexican, but you know, they don't have Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and all that. So she like, how you got everybody in one barbershop? She was astounded, like taken aback by that. I'm like, what you mean? You know, but that's just not, you know, they live very segregated in the majority black and white, but we was all in the barbershop. She was astounded. You know what I'm saying? You just never saw it before.
Exactly. And I think that's a huge problem because I just think sometimes we could be in the Southern black, because sometimes, and I love y'all, I live in the South. I just think sometimes they can live in like a bubble. They view things in a bubble because they make things so. They put us in a social bubble down south that really don't apply nowhere else in the world. You know what I'm saying? Life is bigger than the struggle between black folks and white folks. I'm not saying we just dismissed it because racism is still real and we still in the fight. But it's just a lot of things they can be closed-minded to a degree.
Understood. Yeah. Now, Illa, you know I'm gonna ask you a clarifying question.
Of
The
course.
majority or the minority of the time are they stuck in that bubble?
I'm gonna say the majority by by a slight edge, because I think it's changing. But I think the majority it's a learning, it's a curve.
It's a
It's a
curve.
little learning curve. But on
Yeah.
the flip side, I think the benefit of the South is they have more of a family vibe. They have more of a They have more. They're not as defensive as we are, because we have to be. You know, even if they
Mhm.
don't have their mom and dad at home, they close with their aunt, their uncle, their grand. Like, they got a close knit family unit, even if they don't
Mhm.
have a direct mom and dad in their house. Up
Mhm.
north, where I'm from, either mom and dad doing it or nobody doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like the wedding, the funerals was the family unions for my family. That's when we see
Mhm.
everybody. And I'm not
Yeah.
proud of that. And I think
Mhm.
that's the benefit of the South that they have over us. And I think it's even bleeding into the music and how they're able to stay on top so long, because they work together. You know what
They
I'm
work
saying?
together.
We don't.
Yeah. I think that's a hell of a point. That's a hell of a point right there. It's pros and cons to everything. What you just
Yeah,
illustrated,
yeah.
right?
We're not better than
You
them.
know
They're not better than us. We have different upbringings, which give
the
us different
dynamic.
advantages in different places. But it's nothing wrong
Indeed.
with admitting that. Everybody wants to be the man. It's like we all got pros, we all got cons. You know what I'm saying? We
Mhm.
exposed a little more, we a little more open minded. Y'all have
Mhm.
more of a appreciation for family and things that we take for granted. We all out for self.
Indeed.
We trying to compete with each other all day, every day up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Indeed. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So, Ella, one thing that we kind of got into, but I wanted to get you very specifically on this topic. Every time things start to get seeped into, we talk about us being black, being downtrodden, coming from whatever we come from, right? Rising up, working through systemic oppression and all of that, right? And how that has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I hear this terminology come out: victim Olympics. What's your take? Do you think that when people use this slogan here or phrase verbiage, do they have a point? Do we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, or do you think that this is dismissed? Well, I'm painting too much of it. When you hear this and you know when it's used, what is your response to when somebody says somebody's running in the victim Olympics? Like, what's your entire take?
I think people use it so much that it takes away from from the real victimization of the people. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes people use it too loosely, and sometimes they use it too dismissively. So I think it's a little bit of both. But for the most part, I think when I hear a lot of black men use that term, I feel like a lot of men and women think that not offending white people, or not being able to hold them or be able to even speak about it to make them feel uncomfortable, is some sort of progression, which is ignorant, because no one's never going to tell you that. I don't care how far we remove from, what happened to the people of Israel. Um, Whenever it's brought up, it has to be talked about with respect. It has to be talked about with a certain reverence. Period. And they were they were taken care of for what they went through, and it didn't even happen in this country. It happened in another country, but they're taken care of by our country. So
Mm-hmm.
when I feel like when people bring up real things, because we always talking about the problems with dating, the problems with relationships and income and all that, it has a root, it has a source, it has a paper trail on how we got here. So we could complain about how we got here. I mean, complain about the results of what we have. Then we have to speak about how we got here. You can talk about what happened to you and still be an overcomer, and still be an achiever, and still fight despite what happened to you. But just simply addressing it, just simply talking about it, has become being a victim. Now we can't even talk about it. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
they convince black men to act like nothing ever happened to them. It's like, something just because you made it, you finally made it at 45 or 48. That don't mean that, because a lot of us make it late. Shoot, I made
Yeah.
it late. You know what I mean? It's because
Mm-hmm.
it's real. But it's like we
Yeah.
can't get to that place and act like, oh no, racism ain't real. Ain't nothing. Like, it's definitely real, and it's ingrained in the fabric of this country. It's so ingrained that we don't even realize it is. Like, you'll talk
Yeah.
to white folks, and it's like, if you bring up race in a way that's not even accusatory, but just saying, hey, well, this did happen to our people, it's like they
Mm-hmm.
get so flustered. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of black people don't it's like they go out their way to not offend the white folks, but they'll offend their own people at the expense of not offending them. And it's like that's just mad lame and corny. It's like we can call a spade a spade. We can talk
Mm-hmm.
about what happened to us and still not. That don't mean the everyday white person is a racist, but to act like
Mm-hmm.
this country and our people are not victims of traumatic social change over the last 50, 60, 70 years. It's just
Mm-hmm.
ignorant and asinine to say that. They're always quick to say, well, we were married at a 80% clip in the 60s. Yeah, so what happened? Something happened. Something changed us. Something altered the way we view life. Something altered the way we view everything. So why not speak about it? Because it's a reality. Whatever they did to us, it worked. They didn't put all this work into affecting your food, affecting your education, affecting your family structure for you to be all right. They did it for us to have the dysfunction we got right now. So to act like it didn't happen, it's just some punk ass shit.
Yo, I would be hitting the button more just in my right hand in the sling. But
It's so
yo, Ella, even this part, right? And we do it without thinking. The people of Israel, right? Because on the YouTube, they told us you can't say Jew, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just think about that for a second. You can't say Jew on the internet. You can't
You can
say
say
Jew
the
on
N
YouTube.
word.
Mm-hmm.
You can say all of that. You know what I'm saying? But the sad
Yeah.
part is like
Go ahead.
like this happened on your show. It's like we so messed up to
Mm-hmm.
people that ask you, what's the point of learning your history?
That
That
was
that,
that
that
was
question alone is a product of someone that went through something. The fact that that's a question shows you that
Mhm.
something happened to these people where they don't
Something
even see
broke.
the value in learning their own culture. So to
Yeah.
pretend like, oh, everything is okay, everything is not fucking okay. We just got technology. We have more ways to make money. But if you don't have a unifying culture and uniform thought, we're just a nation of narcissistic individuals that come together when atrocities happen, like a cop shoot a black person. Like that's the only time we come together. Like we're just narcissistic individualists.
Damn. Ella, that's you open with this statement and you reiterated it in a different way. You said they think that something to the effect of tiptoeing or not wanting to offend white people is progressive.
Yes. Like
That is a
not offending everybody but black people's progress. If you care about how black people feel, you stupid. You can't care about how black men feel. You can't care about how black women feel, but you got to care about, the alphabet community. You got to care about this community, that community. But we the butt of the joke. We can just talk about us, however. Even black people do it now. Like we be on here kicking, beating each other down like crazy. And I done had had to smack a couple people up, but I'm always responding. I don't start shit, but I'll finish it. You know what I'm saying? People,
Mhm.
we play each other out over money, over all types of stupid stuff. It's like, how can you talk about a system that broke us down and then critique and judge people by that same system? That doesn't make any sense. But it
Yeah.
makes dollars. It gets YouTube money. It gets super chats. It gets your page clicked on. It's real clickbaity. Like I don't have a lot of clickbaity shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my page grow how I grow. But a lot of people just beating our people down is big money in talking about black people negatively. That's an industry on its own.
Mm.
Shit like that. Shit like that. Shit like
Damn, that statement resonated with me. But I 100% understand that, right? There is a market for it. When they see a black man of influence willing to disparage his people, there's a market for it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I use disparage intentionally because there's a difference between correction, right? We had a conversation a couple days ago regarding degenerate supporting degeneracy, right?
Facts.
Degenerate behavior, right? To call it out and say, okay, we need to correct this, which is different than just disparaging, right? Niggas ain't shit, shit like that. So
Exactly.
that resonated. That's ingrained here now. How when you said that initially, damn.
Yeah, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like our people are under mind control.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't think nothing is serious until it's co-signed by somebody that's done by that's ran by the greatest society. So somebody can get accused of something atrocity, But until the news say it's cool, until the mainstream media says it's real, that's when we join the fight. But by that time, it's too late. We don't know how to recognize information just for it being that. It has to be co-signed by white America, by the church, by Nike, by your favorite artist. The truth don't need co-sign. We the only people in the world that needs corporate America to co-sign information for us to take it in. Like, our people are really destroyed for the lack of knowledge.
Yeah, 100%. Damn. All right, hit that like button if you can. That helps the channel the most. Let's keep taking this same walk, if you don't mind.
Let's go.
A little bit different vein, but I think it's at the very least parallel or adjacent. We saw you, and thank you for the edification. I had the number wrong. I'm thinking they had 3 million subscribers. Turns out it was 4 million subscribers.
Yeah, 4.4.
The whatever podcast, and salute to the grind, right? Regardless. And I seen you over there. And I think you've been over there 3 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? That's huge. Pause. What was the experience like? Is the white man's ice colder? How do they do business? The one thing now, how my mind, and I'll just give you this last part, how my mind worked when you was a good sport with that white girl, put her hands on your neck. I hated that shit. I ain't gonna hold you. But give me the whole picture. Like, how was the experience, the business? How were you treated? What was their chat saying? How did that shit even happen? Like run it down for us.
Well, when I first went viral, they the first people that reached out to me. I didn't know who they was. So he reached out to me right away, wanted me to come out there right away. And I wasn't familiar with the show, and I was in a transition phase between going from one job to the next. So I just started something new. So I wasn't really trying to take off too much time. So I'm like, if the opportunity is meant to be there, then it'll be there when I need to be there. So time went on, you know what I'm saying? The buzz from the video died down, but I still wanted to get on the show because of the exposure and the connections. Okay. But as far as how he treated me very, very well. Like, very respectful. Treated me like an equal. He didn't really try to like put me in a weird position. Like as far as that girl is concerned, no one made me do that. I was just being a good sport because sometimes I feel like when black men work with white people, we could sometimes be a little too touchy. And I didn't want them to feel like you can't say certain stuff around Eric. Well, I want them to feel normal. Like I want my own people to feel normal. So like, yeah, I'll play along. I'm not gonna let you play with me though. But you know what I mean? She got a little out of control, but she it really wasn't no real big deal. I wouldn't do it again. But that was just me just letting them know, like, listen, I'm a good sport. I'm not gonna come here and be all uptight and act like I'm better than you. Like I wasn't trying to get them that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to build relationships long term. So if I work with people, I like to keep in touch with them. Like you'll see me with Big Giles, see me in this one. We still we're still friends. So like when I work with folks, I try to build a relationship in real life. It's not just for the camera. So, you know what I'm saying? We trying to build a friendship. But as far as like how they treated me, I was treated great. I think the difference is, I think that was to me, whatever is easier than working in the black sector, because one thing about working with white folks, they're not offended by articulation. They're not offended because you happen to be thorough in how you talk. That offends black people sometimes. Oh, he talked too much. Oh, he long-winded. Or it's like you just being articulate, cool, laid back, it's enough. And even though young ladies that's on that show, do I agree with most of the things they say? Probably not. But they deliver it in a way that's still feminine, still soft. It may not be what you want to hear, but it doesn't have that extra nastiness to it. And it's not just a white thing, because there'd be black girls up there too. It's just the type of girls that's on that show. They don't come with that. Even though they have that feminist mindset, they still deliver their message in a feminine way. So it's really no reason for you to come at them real extra. You just speak your piece. They speak your piece. So it's just easier to be comfortable in articulation and your intelligence to me than it seems to be on the black side. It seems like everybody, wants to put you in this antagonistic type of situation. It just seemed like it was just easier to be myself.
Wow. Okay.
Weirdly enough, right? That's what I said. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Oddly, right? So you're saying the women comport themselves differently, is it the platform or is it the women themselves? Like literally where those women
It could be
were
a little bit. It could
curated
be.
from.
I think it's the women. I think it's the women and
Okay.
probably the platform, maybe because they do say stuff to trigger the girls. So I
Yeah.
say it's just the women. I just think they're just they're a little airheaded, but it's not. It's not nasty. Nobody's about to call you no bitch ass nigga because they don't agree with you or nothing like that. Like it's not. It's not. The attitudes are not on 1,000. They're just
Okay.
disagreeable and they have feminist mindsets. But it's nothing extra on top of that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like there's no ad hominems. Like, it's just different. It's just different.
Okay. Okay. I understand that. Now when you're saying when you say like the articulation, is it like they're not cutting you off when you're on the white platform? Like what is the dynamic? Like when you say articulation, it has to be a bit more than that. What like
Um,
what else? You know what I mean?
it's just
Decorum, like what? Yeah, what is it like?
it's just the decorum. It's just they just respect intelligence. It seems like they respect intelligence a little more. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not just about the shock value, the sensationalized moments. It's just strictly pure information, pure articulation. It's well received. It seemed like on that side. You know what I'm saying? It's still some other BS too in the comments. You could tell it's definitely a racial component. Some of them probably didn't like to see a black dude up there, especially a black dude that speak like me. It's not like I'm trying to fit in with white America. I'm not trying to push them away, but I'm not trying to go out my way to talk like them and sound like them. A lot of times when people have come on that show in the past and other white shows, they go out the way to try to make them feel like, I'm just like y'all. I want to talk like y'all. It's like I'm being myself. I'm not going to disrespect y'all, but I'm not here to try to really impress you. I'm here to be myself. You know what I'm saying? So you have that element of people being taken aback by that. But outside of that, it was just a different type of decorum.
Okay. And can you give us a little bit more regarding the chat? Like, what is the
Well, a
decorum of
lot
the chat?
basically we had a conversation on the show when we was talking about they have a portion on the show they ask you, it's like a racist question. They'll say, can a black person be racist to a white person? Now, surprisingly, most of the women, they'll say no. Well, they'll say that they don't think a black person can be racist to a white person, which I don't agree with. And I make the delineation that there's systematic racism when you have a system behind it where you can uproot people and basically stop their upward mobility. And then there's just individual racism like prejudice. I don't like you. I don't like that. I say, yeah, a black person can definitely be racist, but do we have a racist system behind us? No. And I think a lot of times people confuse the two, and they think that being racist is lynching and hanging. And no, that's systematic racism. But you can just say, I don't like this person. You can't come in my store. That's individual racism that anybody can perform. So I think Andrew asks, what power does a white man have today that a black man or black woman don't? And I told him the power of perception. I said they have the perceived power. Like most people still would pick if they had a black man, a white man. Oftentimes, the white man is considered more refined, more respectable, more or less of a threat, even in today's time. So just by me saying that, the chat was like, "Oh, he's racist." I knew it. It's like they're very touchy whenever you slightly acknowledge racial friction in the history of this country, and it's like that's weird to me because it happened. You know what I'm saying? Pretend it didn't happen is not going to get us anywhere. For us to get further as a people of all races, we have to be honest about our follies, black, white, whatever. We can't sweep bullshit under the rug because it's the bullshit that's caused all this racial, gender tension in the first place. It's the things that happen to us socially in this country. So to act like that didn't happen while dealing with the side effects of it happening is an oxymoron. Both sides, black and white.
Yeah, 100%. What did Andrew say? Because that reply is perfect. Do you remember what he said?
He was I don't quite off the top of my head, but he was more like no, he didn't disagree. He flipped it on the women. He said, well, if that's the case, then women have perceived power over men too. And I said, that's true. Because perception wise, yes, he's right. But that still don't discount, that y'all have the ultimate perception. But I think women have the power of perception over black men, but I don't know if they caught up to the European yet. He might be close, but I think that in most cases they still get the assumed deniability when it comes to a comparison of black. They assume to be smarter. They assume, like, people still, even black people, you know what I'm saying? Black people sometimes will hire a white person before they hire a black person. But when you say that, they think that you're a victim. They think that you're crying. It's like you can't even acknowledge race with black men or white men. It's just a real weird thing.
Word. Yeah. Let me. You said something, Illa, in there, right? As we trying to mine through the perception and how heavy it weighs and how much of an impact it has. What do you think about this quote here? A man's weakness is the facade of his strength, and a woman's strength is the facade of her weakness.
So you said a man's weakness is the facade of his strength,
and then a woman is the facade of her weakness.
Is her strength? I think I could. So the facade of her weakness is her strength.
Yeah, like the perception. So if a woman, remember, like if we say like white women tears, right? Women can say, "Oh, I can't do this and the third." You know, did you see that story with Travis Rudolph as an example? She called her brothers and said, "Hey,"
he came in. One of them he got sent home. I think
the friend. Yeah, exactly. God bless the dead. And then with the men, you can't cry, right? You know what I mean? Like you suffer in silence. You work yourself to your bone, right? Because you strong. You got to take on everybody else's, problems, and we often don't have an outlet. So what you think? A man's weakness is the facade of his strength, and a woman's strength is the facade of her weakness.
Yes, I think there's some truth to that. And I think, like I said before, the problem is men keep believing that's what they have to be. It's like, who told you have to be a martyr for everybody? There comes a time where you might have to be, but you don't have to do that shit. You can live for yourself and still contribute to society. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of men take on those roles because a woman taught them they had to be like that. A woman told you had to do this and do that. And I think that it's funny that we talk about the facade of strength. I was talking about this on the show, on a whatever show. We was talking about how when a man should hide his emotion, they feel like a woman will use that against him. And I was thinking, because the girls was like, the girls on the show saying that we like when a man show his emotion. And the average man to see that and they think that she wants you to just be boo-hooing like a girl in front of her. And some women do, because some women like to break men. But I've been in situations where a woman would be more attracted to not necessarily the fact that you're so broken in front of her, but it's the fact that you don't care. It's the fact that I'm so secure in myself as a man that I don't mind expressing my emotions because I'm angry, because I'm passionate, because I'm hurt. It's not about impressing you. It's not about trying to hide from you. It's about I'm being human. And I feel like a lot of times when men be talking to women about gender issues, they pleading with women to understand the humanity of the man, but then at the same time want the man to display this to repress his humanity. If you feel like, I remember one time I was taking my daughter home, taking my daughter to the daycare. Me and her mother split up when I was little, when she was little. And my homeboy came and picked me up. I cried. I didn't give a fuck. Like, when I'm feeling the energy of passion, me personally, I don't care who around. I'm gonna let it out. I've seen some people cry and beat the shit out of somebody. So it's like, I don't think teaching men to hold stuff in is healthy. You're not supposed to just be a you know what. But if you feeling some strong, passionate energy, I don't care who's around, as long as you're not about to hurt nobody, you need to let that shit out. I think it takes a lot of bravery to do that. It takes strength in showing vulnerability. I think there's a power and a strength in that. And just because people don't respect it, and just because people don't acknowledge it, doesn't mean something wrong with you. It's something wrong with the people, in my opinion.
No, I got you. And I make a distinction. Let me ask you this question. I want to go back to something you said. True or false, right? And all don't mean all, but this mostly true or mostly false. Men don't cry from physical pain. What you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I think if a person got shot in the leg or shot in the arm, I think a brother might cry. So I think men probably are taught not to, but you don't know what's going to hurt until it hurts. I ain't never
Yeah.
been shot. I ain't never been stabbed. So I don't know what I'll
Yeah.
do if I felt that. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of these terms, these fake expressions of masculinity and femininity really don't have nothing to do with nothing. I think if you feel the type of way, you need to let that shit out. And anybody who cares about you is not gonna, because if we don't, because it's like it's a thin line between being held to the standards of a man and being denied your humanity. You're still a human being. You have the right to express emotion. So if we live in a world where men can't express that, or you believe we live in a world where men can express that, and you accept that for your reality, that's a choice. But you don't have to. You can live how you want to live. And if people don't accept that from you, then you need to get away from those people because they're denying you your humanity.
Yeah, word. Now, 100%. Yeah, all right. So me, right, just in terms of like, I believe generally men don't cry from physical pain. You know, I seen niggas get shot, stabbed. You know, you break something on the football field. You know, but when I saw Dak Prescott, I don't know if you remember, but basically he broke his ankle, right?
Yeah,
And
I'm a
he was
Cowboys fan. I know.
okay. So remember he had the franchise tag and he didn't want to sign it, but he signed it. And you know the franchise tag don't got no security.
No.
And when he remember he was on a cart with a broken ankle, he was crying because of what you know what I mean, his future,
Yeah,
not from
exactly.
the pain. You feel me?
Yeah.
And that part I understand. You know what I mean? Because I felt for him at that time. You know, so I agree with you in terms of emotion, your kids, hurtful things, right? Those levels of expression with tears are perfectly normal and make a whole bunch of sense. One thing I want to go back. You said when it was talking about crying in front of the woman.
No, I cried in front of my home, but that was my homeboy.
No, not you. It was earlier. It was earlier. It was something to the effect of like men are hesitant with being emotional in front of women, right? Like showing that vulnerability. And you said some women want you to cry because they want to break you down.
Not necessarily to want you to cry, but they some women do use vulnerable moments to blackmail you or try to make you feel less than. But
So you
some
know what
women,
I'm asking, Ella? But you know what I'm asking?
Go ahead.
Majority or minority of women want to use that as a weapon against you later. That vulnerability that you show to break you down. And it's speculative, right? So
I would say it's tough because it's like in my experiences, like it's probably most of them. It's probably most. It's probably most. But I look at it like this. So I'm just the type of person where it's like I'm a rebel. Like I'm willing to lose people who don't respect me being who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like some people not. So it's like I don't even keep them people around too long. So like the women that most of the time I keep around, not saying I just be in front of them like, but it's like if I feel a type of way, if I'm stressed out, I'm talking about my life, I'm talking about my daughter. I'm like, it's just more like let my passion speak. And I think in some cases, women just are attracted to a man who's inhibited. Like they're not. It's like how DMX should he'll get on the con, he'll pray. Bark, and next you know he's barking, but it's the freedom of expression that I think sometimes women are drawn to, not necessarily you a girl in front of me. It's just like, yo, he's just so secure in himself that he just speak his mind and he don't care. Like, I think sometimes it's that more often than not when men are evaluating it. It's not as simple as cut and dry as, oh, I'm emotional in front of her, she think I'm soft. It's like, it don't even matter what she think. You know what I mean? At some point, I don't even care if she think that. That don't mean you are though.
that's actually a great segue. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. One of my brothers, man, who showed me a lot of support, Dre on the grind. Salute. He be here, he might not. I don't believe in free will, and this is just another example why. He posted something that you said in the chat, right? I don't even know if he knew I was interviewing today. Maybe he does, right? But he posted
it. Was me saying it, or it was a quote, or it was literally me saying it?
He typed it out. It could have been a quote, but I felt, and I'm saying feel, right? I just read it. And it was said at Philosophical, it was from your Instagram. And it was about how men respond, what men listen to from women, that part. Do you remember what I'm referencing?
I did a few videos like that, so I will have to know exactly what he said. You don't have the quote on hand?
Let me look it up real quick because I was looking at it when we was in the back, but it's so many messages in the chat. If Dre here, he might be able to drop it real quick, and then I'll be able to click on it. But this question that I have scrolling, it's more of a. I want to get your sentiments.
Okay.
Men dealing with women, you hear the conversations. I would say the majority of the conversations don't really go far. The complaints that men have are often characterized as just that, complaints, whining and crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did it to ourselves. It's our fault. The reason why things ain't where they are. What would be your instructions for men if they out in this earth dating and whatever the case is?
Turn your traditional mind off because you're not dealing with traditional women. And I'm not saying they not just traditional as far as like they not virgin, like not just the obvious low hanging fruit stuff, but men sometimes we get so caught up in the women's illusion that we create one for ourselves. Somebody got to be in reality. And reality is that traditions is no longer, and if we're going to get back to a state of tradition, we're going to have to go through this storm right here. This storm is what it is. And this storm is women are given the ability for the first time in history, whether you like it or not saying that I like it. I'm just a realist. And I'm not going to complain about something that I can't change. I'd rather deal with what it is to hopefully work towards the change. But to get to the change, I have to deal with what is first. If you want to heal from an injury, you got to realize you're injured first. You can't just go straight to the. You got to know that I am shot or I have lost feeling in my leg. I got to start walking slow. You got to take it slow. So I think when men are dealing with women today, they forget that based on technology, even if you want to say based on the accomplishments of men. Women are afforded to live in a life where they technically don't need men in the same way they used to need them. So they don't have to technically deal with you. So going about it the way we used to, saying, well, I'm nice and I'm cool, I'm sweet, I pay for this. It's a different time when you're dealing with women today. They just not our grandmothers. And I think if men could just deal with the fact that they're different, they're not the docile women of our mothers. Not saying you should deal with disrespect, because I know somebody's going to take this and run with it and say, see, he think you should deal with degeneracy. No, it's just that women have an ability that they never had before. So now you have to inspire somebody to be with you based on once upon a time it was based on resource or based on the fact you can take care of this. Some of them can take care of themselves economically. So what makes you unique when we are even, or we're cut when we done took out the economic aspect out of it? Why should she be with you? What's so special about you outside of what you can do for her? And the same thing that goes to the woman, because a man don't need you to do what he used to do before. So I think that the times we in now is forcing us to pull out more from each other, because it's not just about paying the bills. It's not just about sex anymore, because we can get all these things that people used to get once in a blue. We get it every day now. So now you have to bring more to the table. I feel like intellectually, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally to people for them to really sit down and settle down with you. I think just coming at it, well, I have a good job, I have a good degree. She should, but she won't. And we've afforded women to have the right to do that. So now we got to deal with what we created. We created a world where they don't have to do as much as they used to do. So now it's changed the value system for how they view us. They might be even wrong most of the times, but to fight it and act like it's not a reality is a waste of time. This is what it is. Women are different, and we have to deal with not saying you got to accept anything, but just know that that's what you're dealing with. Like women, they need to know that, yeah, men choose to be monogamous, but they're naturally polygamous. Not saying you need to accept it, not saying that you have to deal with it, but you need to know that this is the reality of the man you're dealing with. This is what men really, their nature really is. And I think we're learning now that what we thought women were is something that they was forced to be. They lived in societies that forced them to play the role of the wife and forced them to play, even if you want to bring the Bible into whatever, they were forced to be this way. This is the first time ever they got the choice to say, I can or I can't. So it's a new dynamic that we have to deal with. Not saying you got to let it control you, but to come at her like she's your grandmother, she's not your grandmother, bro.
Word. Yeah, damn. The force thing is interesting. We actually had a conversation previously in terms of like women and sex as an example. And once we see that they have the sexual liberation, women want sex like men want sex. The cheating rates are the same, right? When you look at STDs, we black men and women are at the top of it because women want sex too. To your point, now that they're not handcuffed in the way in which they
yeah,
used to be,
they
you
they
know.
always they always did, because this is the thing. See, the desire doesn't change design. Like, women are not designed to do what men do, but they still have the desire to do it. That's the problem. They want multiple men just like men want multiple women. The difference is they're not designed for that. We're designed for it, but they still have the urge. They still have the want. They still want to do the same things that men do. It's just that they learn over time that they're not built like men to handle it over a long period of time. But they're in a time period where they got to go through this storm. Because to be honest, women are having an inner conflict with themselves. It ain't even about us. They're having an inner conflict. You just got to we just got to ride this shit out. It may be 10, 20, whatever years. This is just the era we're in. It's a liberated era. They've empowered women to treat men as options, even though we're kind of not an option. But this is the world that was created for them. This is what it is. We just got to ride this shit out.
Okay. Okay. Now, when a man is looking into a woman, I know you said the traditional woman is not what simply is not what we're dealing with today, or overwhelmingly. Should men forego looking for submission?
No, I just think it depends on what you define submission as. Now, if you're going to get somebody that's just on some coming to America shit, barking like a dog, then yeah, you're not going to find that. But submission, everything is just different now. Submission don't look like how submission looked when grandma did it. Submission may look a little different. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and I was telling her how, like, if we have an issue, let's argue at home. Don't disrespect me in front of everybody else, though. That's modern submission. Because you want to deal with some type of something from modern women. I don't care what race he is. It's just modern times. But it's a time and place for everything. You're dealing with a generation of women that were raised in a world where men were already cast out as the degenerate, as the sexual deviant, as the deadbeat, as the violent. These attributes of men were already established as a reality when a lot of these women became of age. They don't know nothing else. We've seen, depending on your age, you may have seen a different reality. These women were born and raised in a feministic, women put on a pedestal society. They don't, that's their bottom line frame of reference for reality. So when you're dealing with these type of women, you gotta be objective to how you even look at shit. So submission just looks different depending on what you looking for. Like, she should be respectful. She shouldn't embarrass you in front of other people. You know what I'm saying? But as far as this slave, I'm gonna come home and everything is done and cooked and clean, that's possible, but I don't think it's probable. I think submission these days is more of about how much she's willing to cooperate with you, because it's not gonna be 100%. They just wasn't raised that way. It's gonna take time for a new woman to be reared in a new different ideology. But the women of today, a lot of them are just not gonna submit to the degree that you would like. Especially if she's very, very attractive. Good luck.
Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Damn, I said that and then a question popped in my head. I know we getting tight, but I just got a few more.
If you want to go a little long, we cool. You know what I mean? I'm good. Yeah. I ain't looking at the clock. So as long as it ain't like too long.
Nah, yeah, I ain't gonna be bugging. I don't know though. I can't hold you. I'm gonna tell you that. So now if submission does look different, right? And it won't be what it was yesteryear, what are women gonna have to deal with in terms of a deficit from today's men?
They're gonna deal with a man that is not as passive as who just wants to just be the person who just break his back for you. Because a lot of things that grandpa did, we ain't doing either. Like, we both got to let go of grandma and grandpa, because grandpa would just work and hand grandma the check and just sit down and watch TV. We ain't doing that shit. So it's like we both got to deal with a new woman and a new man. The new man is not He's not just gonna go out his way to just break you off with his bread. Like that's not a given. You know what I'm saying? So these assumptions we got about yesteryear, we don't act like yesteryear. We don't have yesteryear's value. Nobody's a virgin. Men are not building houses from scratch with their bare hands. Some of us are, but it's just a different time. So we got to deal with both of ourselves with new eyes. If we want to get back to a state of tradition, we got to deal with where we are today. I think that women shouldn't be thinking about a man's money so soon. A man shouldn't be think that he's just gonna get her body so soon. Like, we should just deal with each other from a platonic friendship. I don't owe you nothing, you don't owe me nothing level. All that assume he's paying for that, they kind of killed that. Like, we both got to make compromises. You know what I'm saying? We can't compare you to the past. You can't compare us either. Let's deal with each other from where we at right now. You boss, you got your own. You take care of yours, I take care of mine. Until we establish ourselves for something seriously, then we can do that. It's like, if we want to deal with the modern time, then let's deal with it. Either we're going to be super traditional or all the way today. We can't have this hybrid. You can't. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because if a man's going to pay and he's going to take care of everything, then you should submit. But if that's not what he's going to do, then fine. You don't have to submit totally, but you're going to have to at least cooperate. So I think we want all this modern benefits, but we're not. I mean, we want this traditional benefits, but with a modern twist and all that. It's like, you're either traditional or you're modern. You know what I mean? You can't be both.
Yeah, I think a lot of things, to your point, are conveniently applied, right? So when they want to be applied, it applied, and then it's taken away seemingly at a person's will, which is ultimately problematic.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm with both. I'm with traditional values. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's nothing wrong with a woman submitting. I just think that the modern woman has been wired for trigger words. Submission to her sounds like slavery. You know what I'm saying? So they're just wired differently. They've been wired in a way that they're kind of like, it's like they're not comfortable around men until they feel some type of feminine energy from men. Because they'll say, oh, I don't want no soft man, but you do want a man that's a little passive, a man that's really not going to give you too much pushback. Like, they get comfortable when you show submissiveness. They actually looking for you to submit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, today's woman is just a little different, man. You just got to come at them just from a different angle. They've been wired this way. You can't expect them to be like grandma. They just not.
Word. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Hey, Ella, I want to show you this slide. I got a little bit of a different scene. If you scoot towards your microphone, you should be in frame. Let me show you this picture, and let me get your pure organic thought on this. And this leads us into my next question. It's also kind of right off the back end of what we just discussed. Can you read it? You want me to read it for you?
Yeah, I've seen that before too. A man's not supposed to cook, wash dishes, or wash his clothes if he got a woman. Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, but in a perfect world, yeah, but this ain't a perfect world. Now, she should want to do it, but what's the odds of a woman doing that all the time? I don't know. Should she do it? Should she want to do it? Yes. Should she do it all the time? Maybe. But is it realistic to think a woman's going to do that every day? Probably not. I think we live in a world where chores are shared. Some days she's going to cook. Sometimes you're going to cook. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're going to do laundry. Sometimes she's going to do laundry. Like, I just think chores have been evolved to a point where both people carry both duties depending on the dynamic of the relationship at the time. Now, if you getting that money and she don't have to work, if you put her in a position where she ain't got to do nothing but that, then hell yeah, she should do it. But if y'all both work, then y'all both work at home and outside the home. It's a team. You're still the head, but we live in a modern time. So sometimes you're going to be tired and she's going to have to do it, and vice versa. So I think when it comes to chores, unless you have facilitated a world where you pay for everything and you got mad bread when she don't have to do nothing, then it's going to be hard. If she still has to work, if he still has to work, it's going to be hard for any one person to have to do everything. I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah. I think that makes a whole bunch of sense for sure. So this picture, right? You know, there's been a lot going on. When I'm looking at different things, I get sent so many clips. I don't know if you peeped it, but I have like these AI auto responses on.
Oh
on
shit.
Instagram because I get so many. It gave me this option because I get
I'm
so
gonna do
many
that
messages.
too because I get a lot of stuff too. I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, it'd be
and
crazy.
you can help it. Like you say, okay, that's a bad reply, good reply. But it's so many messages, you know, and I don't like to leave. Like even when I circle back, you know what I mean. And me and you just talk on a regular, and I had missed the message. You feel me?
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about nothing. What's up? How you? Everything golden? You know what I mean?
Word.
And so, but that right there, right? Red pill, based on what I've been seeing, is like under siege. Every time I turn around, it's somebody saying red pill, manosphere, fuck out of here, etc. You know, and I've been breaking down a lot of different talking points, you know, but I'm doing it just based on the talking point, not about red pill, you know. But what based on what I'm seeing, niggas is getting clown left and right. What's your take?
I think it's two things. I think on one hand, they letting too many people speak from a place of just pain and to the point where it could come off like you hate women because a lot of red pill men get offended when you don't offend a woman in conversation. Like if I'm on a panel talking to women, if I didn't make her cry, if I said something to her that made her smile or I made her feel comfortable in the midst of conversation, that's a simp now. You know what I'm saying? And I think those type of guys who feel like that has given red pill a bad name. Now, the people that are the detractors to the red pill, I think they clowns too. Because if you're a real man, you know what these men trying to say. Like you could pretend like you don't know. You could act like they just hate women. Like you know what they really trying to say. You know what they're talking about. You know the scenario you describe. It's just that it's money in narratives. It's once picking on somebody becomes popular, then people are gonna do it because that's the wave. You know what I'm saying? Because when Kevin Samuels was kicking that shit, men were feeling more empowered to talk that shit. Now that he's dead, it's like, and the women are talking shit. It's like, well, I don't really want to get caught up in that. And I get it, but I think it's misrepresentation from the critics, and it's also misrepresentation from the people that call it red pill. Because a lot of women who want to critique red pill, they always bring up the same individuals, the same narratives. They don't bring up a Tommy Curry. They don't bring up a Tia Johnson. They never bring him up. Because that's not going to work if they're not going to bring up a median man. They're not going to bring up men who are astute, very stoic, and deal with straight data and really talk about the misandry, not necessarily in the relationship sector, but the misandry in corporate America and in halls of academia. That's what they only want to talk about. It's the gender war that's going on in the boardroom and in the classroom. They like to keep it on this sex rate relationship shit. That's not really what the learned men are really talking about. That's just the low-hanging fruit that get the clicks. So when people critique a red pill train of thought, it really says more about what they're paying attention to and what's getting their eye, because they're going to talk about what's going to get the clicks. But it's just a lot of men that's just been too extreme with it in the representation of it, and it's men that's been too extreme with it in the critique of it. It's just everybody wants to do what's popular, and of course, a lot of men are afraid to lose their female fan base. So if you say you red pill, a lot of women just assume that you hate women, and I see why. Because, like I said, when I'm talking on spaces, if I'm not making the women cry, I'm a simp. It's like the truth is controversial enough. Being objective to women is controversial enough. I don't gotta call out her name. I ain't gotta say she a 304 and all that. That's not necessary. She's gonna be mad because I'm telling the truth anyway. So outside of that dialogue, I'm gonna still be cordial and have a decorum. You know what I'm saying? We can still. It's one thing for a woman to leave your show and say, "I don't agree with what they were talking about. Them niggas hate women." And it's another thing for a woman to leave your show and say, "I don't really agree with him, but he cool though." Two different responses. They don't agree with you either one, but they will come. But it's a different taste left in their mouth. I don't want women to think I hate them. They can say I don't agree with Eric. I don't agree with his point of views. It'll be I don't know. He might be extreme. Even though I don't agree with that, I'll accept that. But you can't say I hate you. I just don't agree with how you think.
Yeah, damn, that's interesting. And yeah, to your point, and Media Man. So I interviewed Media Man. We did it like an hour and a half or so, right? And he was I was giving him stat, right? Because that's his thing, you know. Yeah. And he doesn't speak with a bunch of vigor, right? He's stoic, vitriolic, nothing. and r- regardless of what he was saying, he was still getting that similar pushback, and so he couldn't help but look at the comments. He's like, "What am I doing wrong? You know, what am I doing wrong?" But it's just like, to your point, when he was aligned with the ideology, that was it. You
See,
know,
this space has produced too much extremism on both sides, the men and the women. Like I've seen people, they in the chat right now. I've seen them disrespect me for telling women stuff like, you need to grow up, you need to be mature. And I've seen them not hold their favorite content creators responsible for literally calling women hoes, literally calling them stupid bitches and all. Like these people are crazy. And if you go by these people in the chats, you'll think it's something wrong with you. These people just be projecting. These people be bitter. These people be broken. And this YouTube space gives people a place to vent and to live vicariously through other men and women. And you just got to ignore. And now I got to learn this myself. You got to ignore a lot of stuff they be saying, because they'll watch the people that they don't like. They'll watch the people that they hate. They'll watch everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of these people in these spaces, they just real extremists, and they hate men or they hate women, and they want you to do it. And you can disagree with the opposite sex without hating them. I don't mind a woman saying, I don't agree with that, Eric. I don't agree with that, Illa. I look at it like that. Cool, we can agree to disagree. But all the extra shit, all the ad hominems, that don't have to be there. We don't have to agree on everything. Women were bred to disagree with us in the modern time. So I'm not even shocked that they disagree. Just don't disrespect me and just respect my opinion, and I respect yours. But it's just too much extremism.
yeah, 100%. The one thing I wanted to mind out just a little bit more is the detractors. You say they do just as much because they focus on low hanging fruit. The niggas that are maybe more demonstrative, right? Who have the conversations where they're literally just going at women, period. And they don't focus on the men that are actually trying to say something of substance to help repair things. So you think that they do just as much harm and put just as much of a spotlight on the things that they say they hate?
Yeah, because I feel like they pander to the women. It's like we men understand each other very well. You know exactly why men saying the things that they're saying, and you know exactly what type of women they talk about. So to act like you don't know what these men talking about, they just like, even me, I acknowledge the extreme aspects of this conversation, but I know what they're trying to say. I know what they're alluding to. So to act like I don't know what these men talk about, they crazy. You sisters, y'all got it all together. They just hate and they just jealous of your success. It's corny. You know what I'm saying? And it's not helping nobody. Because if the women will listen to you, why don't you help them understand these men a little better? Like, sister, I know you feeling me. I know you may not understand what you're talking about, but this is what he means. It's like, don't try to shit on those brothers. Like, just help them understand, help the women understand them a little more, and help the brothers tone down their message a little more. But they points are coming from a real place. Look at Princella. She did all this campaign, and this how you know they just be, women don't realize the people just be lying to women because it's an easy sell. Women are not going to fight you. As long as you agree with them, you don't even got to make sense. As long as they feel prioritized in the conversation, they're going to promote you. Princella did a whole campaign for at least a good year and a half, talking about how men are degenerate, men don't know how to love, just to come full circle and say that women are narcissists. Men been saying that. What's the difference now than then? We've been saying that. So, and it undermines the whole argument because men realize that a lot of these women were narcissists. That's why your observation of what looked like men being sexist, what looked like men being abusive, what looked like, and some were, of course, but what can look like men being these extreme, non-loving men were really just men dealing with narcissism. So when I'm dealing with something that's negative, I might, if I'm arguing with somebody, I'm gonna look mad too. If I'm fighting somebody, I might look violent, but I'm really defending myself. So when you're looking from the outside looking in, it may look like they're being mean men or unapproachable men. No, they're dealing with a narcissistic woman. So your whole evaluation of that man was from that perspective. So what the fuck is you talking about? But now she's saying what men been saying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people pick and choose and they create these narratives because if you want to make money in the space of media, you need women's dollars. And it's an easy sell to get black women to invest in your page when you're facilitating a critique of black men. It's just an easy fix.
I understand that. And generally speaking, like, I think it's okay for your opinion to change as you gain more information. And oftentimes you hear the cliche, experience is the best teacher, you know? So is she contradicting herself? And I haven't seen it in totality, but you gave me the gist of it, right? In terms of the maybe her change. Is it because now she has more experience, in which case her message changed only because she now has more information? Like, could it be genuine? You know what I mean?
I mean, I look at it like this: if you don't got the information, then shut up. If you're not informed about what you're talking about, why are you online telling hundreds and hundreds of thousands of women about men when you don't have no idea what you're talking about? For you to change your tone after one encounter with one woman, damn, that one woman and change your whole outlook for everything. It's like we were dealing with hundreds of women, dozens of women. So what do our opinion don't matter? We were made for them. But I don't people like her, I just feel like she found a lane because she used to be in the black conscious sector. Not to make it about her, but I just feel like some people it's just a hustle. It's just a hustle, man. Your hustle might evolve because you realize, it's a bag on talking on the men's side too. Because if you're a pretty woman and you defend men, there's a bag in that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people just don't be speaking from their true experience. They just feed into narratives that are popular, that pay. Because everything about the woman was manly. She dressed like a man. She spoke in a man's cadence. She's always quoting men. So it's like, how can you devalue men while still representing a masculine image to impose yourself? That don't make sense.
Yeah. And again, I don't have enough info on her, right? But it's about the archetype, right? Alleged her, right? Because I don't have enough information to make a concrete determination. But the archetype of finding a lane and getting a bag out of it, is that probably the worst thing that's happening?
I mean, because you could find a lane doing something cool. You could find a lane helping people making money. So finding a lane and making money is nothing wrong with it. But when you're finding a lane and causing confusion in an already confused community, that's a problem.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. Word. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Hey, Illa, this has been awesome. I got one more question for you, though, good brother. If you would humor me. You know what I mean? I know your old ass getting tired. I'm 1 hour behind.
I ain't that old. I'm on my way. As long as I don't look like it. As long as I don't look my age, I'm good.
You know this shit don't crack. I still got pimples and all that. I just turned 39 December 6th. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be 40 in March, my brother.
Feel me? So we doing all right,
Hell yeah.
So I got one more, man, and this is a simple one. What talking point need to die and stay in 2024? What talking point? What talking point?
Oh man, what talking point needs to die? That men are jealous of women. Like men are we're intimidated by their success. Like that shit need to die. We don't give a fuck about that. And I'm gonna say something real basic. A man ain't worried about nobody that can't beat them. You can't beat me. So your money will never move me. That's if you're a woman or a male. That's how you move men. You move men physically. You don't move them based on what you can earn or who you can call up. No, you can't beat me. So you're never going to intimidate me. That goes for male or female. So I think that whole, men are just jealous because they're not making money and we out earn them, like all these financial shit on men conversation. I think that need to die. I think that really, because a man's value goes way beyond his money. Because even though you just say the woman makes more money than you, when somebody come to that front door, you going to have to do something about it. She not going to pull out and say, hold up, Mr. Burglar. I graduated top of the class. Like, that's not going to matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's going to have to physically protect you. So that's in value. That value is priceless. So as long as we have the responsibility of putting our lives on the line, you can never just define us by just money. And I'm not advocating for being a bum or being broke, because by saying that, you have to give a disclaimer, because people are going to take that and say, see. So we're not saying that. We're just saying that a man's value goes way beyond his money. That's like saying a woman's value don't go beyond her sexuality. That would be ignorant, right? All right. So our value goes way beyond money and acquirement of resources as well.
And that be an intimidating factor. Yeah. Now, real shit. a nigga be talking shit, right? Like I'm just using like real life anecdotal example. The main reply, but I bet you can't whoop my ass though, right? And he can't reply with, "I'll pay somebody to whoop your ass." That ain't how that works. Like if you can't whoop my ass, you gotta hush. You know, just in terms of men, like yo, you bet you can't whoop my ass though. If that nigga don't respond in kind or hush up, because if he know that, you win that argument at least for that day. You know what I'm saying?
Like, so stop telling thinking of grown men who are big and strong, you are mad at you because you make money. Nobody that don't intimidate no real man that you make more money. I'm glad you make more money. That don't mean you over me enough. It just mean you make more money. But stop. I just think that's just a false narrative, especially with black men. I don't think black men are intimidated. I think we went through so much in this country that we had to garner with just our minds and our backs that it ain't too much that intimidate us, especially coming from the woman's side. I think what men are intimidated is women's ability to manipulate situations that can jeopardize us. We're definitely scared of that. But intimidated by you because you make a lot of money, I think that narrative needs to die.
Word. Damn, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most.